Betty Goes A-Posen is a Betty Boop short film from 2017. This is directed by Carlo. It's written by Frank Caruso, Zac Posen, Larissa Zagueris, and Noel Schlodendorm. And I apologise if I've mispronounced any of those names. And it's okay. The narrative is lacking, but the animation is quite cute. And I'm quite a fan of contemporary Betty Boop cartoons because it's just interesting to see which of the original Fleischer qualities they retain and if there are any differences. And with this one, I guess it feels like a classic Betty cartoon in some ways. Certainly the design of the character, very recognisable. And Sandy Fox does the voice of Betty Boop, and I think she did a pretty good job. We also have Pudgy. Pudgy features, and I adore Pudgy. However, the narrative is very lacking and honestly kind of weak. But it's not created to be an enjoyable cartoon. At least that's not what it seems like. It's created to advertise MAC Cosmetics' Betty Boop lipstick. And that's fair enough. It's cute, it's sweet. It's not that interesting as a narrative, but the animation is quite fun. Basically, to sum it up, I won't spoil what happens at the very end, but Betty Boop is walking along with Pudgy. She happens to meet Zac Posen, and Zac Posen voices himself, and he takes Betty Boop back to his studio, and then something maybe a little magical happens. I won't spoil it completely, but the whole thing is only about 2 minutes, so I don't want to say any more than that. I will say that there's a lot of fluff in this. There's a weird thing with the hot dog vendor and some other weird characters that we meet. And it just felt like I was missing something, like I'm missing the point. And if that's the case, please feel free to tell me. But it definitely feels quite poorly written. Like they didn't really know how to get to those final few seconds, or let's say the last 30 seconds or so. It's like they didn't really know how to go from A to B. And what we got just wasn't very good. The animation, however, is quite delightful. The voice acting, particularly with Betty Boop, not too bad at all. I'd say if you've never seen Betty Boop before, please don't make this your introduction to Betty Boop. I don't think it isn't very typical of what you can expect from the quality of the average Betty Boop narrative. There are, of course, some weak links for sure, but in general, Betty Boop cartoons have a much stronger narrative, a much more quality storyline than this one. With this, it definitely felt like they weren't really sure how to get to the main point. However, as I said, the actual animation, the visuals, quite delightful. Voice acting, no problems. If you're an existing Betty Boop fan, I'd say maybe it's worth watching as a one-time 2-minute watch. It's not too bad.